Hi everybody, here we are again with a new video. This time let's go for the airbrush part. What is the first thing we need? Prepare the airbrush. For that we're going to use the thinner. It's this one. This is the thinner, it's this one. What is the thinner doing? It has a little retardant and causes the paint to clamp on the surface. If we use it, we don't get the famous spiders or similar things, okay? As you can see in the screen, I use the mid color or the mid tone. I remind you until now have worked from shadows toward the light. Now let's work with a mid tone, close to light, okay? Using near to the white color. But as always I told you, don't use white directly. Use a mid tone. The main idea to use the airbrush is to smooth or blend. Look at how I work with the trigger of the airbrush. Why I move it all the time? To dry and apply color at the same time. You paint directly with the air, just will dry the surface. And if you apply the trigger to back, just will paint and the surface will be wet, okay? If you move all the time the trigger, you will dry and then you will apply color, okay? If you don't paint on this way, maybe then will be appear spiders, okay, with the paint. If the spiders appear, how to solve? Creating transitions with blending and glazes. Remember, don't do it in all the surface, okay? Just in specific areas. I always do it in the same way. With the brush, I start with a dark tone toward the light. And with the airbrush, we'll start with a mid-tone. We soften the intermediate parts and even the shadows. In the part of the shadow, you can use the same mid-tone, being all integrated in the same ambient. Using the same color in both light and shadows will be more realistic. As you can see, I'm measuring the mid-tone a lot. In the dark area, we are going to be much blacker. Do you think it will be black or another color? It's very important that first you use the airbrush, you test it, okay? Very important. With few passes, you can check the dilution. There is no correct dilution. Always try to fix it and test it on a napkin. In this way, we'll know if we'll cover a lot or not. If cover too much, will be a problem, but if don't cover enough, you will insist on the area and don't care because you will not pass with the color. If we pass, we will be eliminating the previous copy bases and will be a problem because then you will need come back to the first steps and recover with copy bases, okay? Remember, keep calm in this way because will be fast way to paint and this moment it's a hard moment. Take a look where I add the blue and where I respect the previous layer. We started with the mid-tone to create the copy bases with the airbrush. If you want to call them glazes, you could call them, okay? We deepen the shadows. If in some areas you pass and you remove the light or lose the light, don't worry, okay? Don't worry. Be calm, keep calm. In this video, I'll show you how to fix it, okay? Do you remember what black we used in the base? Now it's time to play with blues and give it saturation. If it stay completely black, we'll lose the information. Also, we'll see how you can recover even more with airbrush. Something very important about this dark area is that we want it to be satin. We want to give it the effect to being wet. And to achieve it, we'll play with inks. If you are afraid because that will be saturated too much, mix it up. Easy. I use this one because have a blue tone, okay? Could be use this kind of green to yellow or to blue. This one have more blue, okay? There is no problem if you are afraid to use inks. You can also use a matte paint to mix, okay? If you are a little bit afraid using directly inks, mix with a flat color. You can use another brands, to mix them, okay? In summary, we deepen the shadows by contrast of color and by the glossy finish. It will be not excessive because we are making glazes and are very thin, okay? In my case, I have forced even more those glazes to get a gloss effect, because I want to give an wet aspect or wet finish on the miniature. If we use inks, the effect is immediately. If we use a mix between matte colors and inks, you can modify better or easier for you maybe, okay? If we use matte colors, the whole figure will be the same, will be flat, okay? It won't be bright. And remember, a fish in the water, does it have brightness or not? In previous videos, if you remember, I didn't use inks for the skin, but in this one is for that reason, because I want to show you a wet effect, okay? Different tricks, different ways to paint. How can we deepen the shadows even more? Using the blue. And why the blue that we have black? If we gave a blue to black, we'll give it even more depth. It's an effect that makes our eyes. The blue is black, understand it as equal. Blue it's only to give it more depth. Always check before that using the miniature. Do it in a napkin. In the areas with the maximum shadow, we'll use this formula, this technique. It gives us a feeling of humidity and give us more depth. That's why when you saw the miniature you thought, wow, amazing black color. It's because the black have a lot of colors. Did you like this trick? Yes, I start with black color, the demon color, the band color. But what now looks very different with color? Just like I use blue, but you can use the color that you want. If you use magenta, purple, violet, it's also valid. I don't want to condition you. I want to invite you to practice. We'll see later where I have painted with violet. I keep insisting in the shadow zone. We're going to deepen it both in the areas of the maximum shade and where we want to highlight volumes with very gray areas. Thus, we're going to create a great contrast between gray, white and black. We arrived at the magenta. Why not? We will use it on the white areas and the black areas to give a tonality, more fleshing on the skin. And in the shadows, to give them greater depth. Yes, call me crazy, but does it work or does it not work? With the magenta and the blue, we create even more contrast, more depth, and I have given that wet more environment. It's to enter information based on color. Don't be afraid painting different areas. They don't have to be the same as me. All those little nuances make white and black more and more different. I think now in your screen you can see the difference. The shadows, its depth, the magenta color in the elbows. You can always work even more. In the process, I always start with the brush, then with the airbrush, and then later we'll see. Now a very delicate moment has arrived. I'm going to teach you another trick. How many do we carry today? In the white areas of the skin, you can paint with a color close to white, but not directly with white. I use a blue and pale flesh to create the mix. Why? Also because it's not pure white. It will give us little more light to the white color, and it will help us to create more volume. I never recommend use white on the airbrush, never, but you can use this kind of colors as alternative. Okay, well, maybe in another time, yes, but now no. Now let's look for more light in the target. We're going to recover it in the areas where it has been turned off. It's normal with the airbrush, you can get out thin parts don't you want. Don't worry, it can be recovered with brush, and it is not very serious with the airbrush, equal. Easy. That phrase we heard so much about. It's what the viewer asks for. Actually, it's like that. Sometimes you'll think the miniature is ready, and in other times you will need to go around until you get it. Now let's see the plus part. When I have finished it with the airbrush, I return with the brush. Why? Do you remember that in the previous video I told you that you should take a picture? If the skin marks disappear or has been covered, it's time to paint them. That's why I told you that always we can touch up. The special touches is the trick. With these skin spots, black and white, will give more depth on the skin to create more contrast. If you want to use pure white, yes, now you can use it. Why? Now you have create all the texture and all the volumes, and you can use pure white and pure black if you need it or if you want it, but no before. Here I start to use the information in small points. The figure is finished. We can add some spots, bigger and smaller. I added a little pink to the white to create a complementary contrast. The addition of the complementary color doesn't mean that if you use blue, it's orange. Maybe for all of you this is very strange, but the truth is, it depends the kind of blue that you use. For example, could be orange, yellow, magenta, mixes on these colors, okay? Not the complementary directly. Have more information in the future on that part because it's long to talk here. Now comes the most difficult thing. Practice this at home. I hope surprise you with this new video. See you, my friends.